Also, one of the things that's a very common theme throughout the Bible is God tests people. So he makes them suffer. Or let me correct that, he actually allows them to suffer. He allows Satan to do very bad things to them. I mean, I forget who it was, and I forget the specifics of the story, but I do remember, he allowed Satan to just completely destroy this man in the attempt to destroy his faith. This is why we are made to suffer. Satan doesn't want us to believe in God or to follow Jesus, so he makes us suffer so that we question, oh, well, if there's all this suffering, well, then there can't be a God. Then he's one. That is his goal. That's why a lot of this stuff makes Satan very happy. Now, could I be wrong on some of my points? Absolutely. You've got other ideas? That's perfectly fine as well. I think I've covered suffering. And another thing to consider as well is I've always believed everything happens for a reason. Now, there are things that have happened to me that are absolutely, from a standpoint of science, are impossible. I mean, physically impossible. It's like for example, a car engine that is broken in half is physically incapable of running. Yet, I have experienced it where my car engine was running after it was broken in half in a very bad accident. I actually pulled the car off the road under its own power, even though it was literally smashed. I've got pictures to prove it, if I can find them. It's one of those things. Anybody that saw what was left of that car swore that whoever was driving could not have survived. I walked away with barely a scratch on me. I've got so many examples of things where I should have been severely injured or even dead, and I walked away with barely a scratch. I mean, literally, I was in that accident. I got nothing more than one broken bone right here, and that was it. Other than some bruises, and I was sore for a while, but it happens. Another thing is that adversity makes us stronger. Perhaps God has a plan for us, wants us to be, we need to be strong to do something that hasn't happened yet. There's really no way to know. He sees a lot more than we can. So his plan for us may not make sense, and it may not even be something that transpires within our lifetime. It could be something that we learn and pass on to somebody else that does something. Or we set a series of events in motion that lead to something else. And God looks at a much bigger picture than we do. We see a very small piece. Has it ever said in the Bible there's no life anywhere else? No. Do I believe statistically speaking, I think it's virtually impossible for there not to be life somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe there was life on Mars at one time. I don't know. The flood, do I believe it happened? Yes, I believe it happened. There's some questions to it, the way things happen, although I will say that crap that Kent Hovind puts out is complete bullshit. I don't buy into much of what he says. Some of it's just absolutely asinine. A friggin' 5-year-old could friggin' understand that some of this stuff is bullshit. But, that being said, another thing to consider too is the way the Bible was written. It had to be written for people that weren't technologically advanced. There's a lot of things that had to be written in metaphor for it to be understood. The 7-day creation, I mean, perhaps the whole point was that he made the earth really fast. He made the earth and the heavens really fast. So he had to say it in a way that they would understand. Or it could be in relation to time as God sees it. Maybe he measures it on a different way. For all we know, time doesn't even really apply to him, so he was just throwing out some measure of time, because it's if you live outside of time, it's difficult to comprehend it. Granted, he's much more advanced than we are, and much more powerful, so I don't know. a lot of the true nature of God we can never completely understand because he's so far above our level. We're just incapable of comprehending it. There's also one other thing to note is actually the history of the Bible and how it came to be in its current form. Now, the Dead Sea Scrolls do back up the Bible, and to date, not one thing in the Bible has been definitively debunked. Not one. Because granted, you do have to take into consideration a lot of this stuff is written in metaphor, and it's really hard to figure out what he's actually talking about or what it truly means. But that being said, there's also a possibility that there is information missing. The Bible came to be, there was, I don't remember all the specifics. I went through this in my Western Civ class years ago, back in college. But the Bible was put together by a council of men. I believe there were 12, as I recall. And people brought in their documents that they wanted to be included in the one Bible, the one common text that was to be the Word of God. These men picked and chose what went in and what didn't. A lot didn't make it in. And it ended up in this library that later got burned down in some battle. So it's fair to say there could be stuff that isn't in there that should have been. Maybe the whole point of having this council was maybe there was some stuff that he told us that he later thought, that God later thought, well, maybe I don't want them to know about this. Maybe they're not ready for it, and so it got destroyed and with time and all of that. So just some things to consider. Try to get some points out. When I respond, fine, I'll take any comments. You want to comment on it, argue with me, come up with counterpoints, that's fine. But I think I've pretty much addressed the question. I'll be more than happy to put out anything else. So I guess I'll cut this off for now because I'm probably going pretty long. So take it easy, guys, and talk to you later.